Hey guys, I hope you're all doing very well. Welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about John Wick 4. Now, if I had to describe the John Wick movies, I definitely think it's a great hitman movie with really great visuals and action sequences that really grips you. And I really enjoyed the three John Wick movies, and I really was interested to see how well the fourth one could live up to those standards. And in my personal opinion, I think John Wick 4 is probably the best one of the four movies. I really think the action is really impressive. The action is also really diverse as well. So it's not just focused on one types of action sequences that continues throughout the rest of the movie. They really get a lot of the visual scenes incredibly well, and overall, I think John Wick 4 is an amazing movie. Now, I'm going to try and not spoil this movie in any sort of sense, but if I had to really describe this movie really doesn't lack for moments. There's so many great moments in this film, and one of the part of the reasons for it is just how impressive they get the visuals. I mean, the visuals in this film is really impressive. So they get like some of the visuals from you know, looking at the Continental in Osaka, Japan, as well as some of the visuals in Berlin and Paris, and they really get them really spot on. And with that, with some of the great action, it's really impressive. And the action has some really lots of diversity, so it's not just about pointing guns all the time, shooting at the enemies, although that is kind of still the consistent theme in John Wick. But there's also scenes of where characters would use machetes and they would use bows and arrows, and they really do really get that sense of action and really impressively. So really, when you watch this film, it really doesn't lack for moments at all. And also, speaking about some of the other great things I enjoyed with this movie, I also think the characters are really interesting. So there's a few characters in this film, such as Kane, who is a blind assassin who works at the high table and was a former friend of John. And his character was really interesting, and he definitely does get like some of the great sort of sequences of the fights as well. So really, it was really impressive, like how they get some diversity in the characters, and I think it was actually some of the best in the franchise, to be honest. There was also a character called Marquise, I think it is, who is also one of the top high table assassins as well. So his character was really interesting as well. So they really do get a lot of the characters in this movie very well. But yeah, also with the characters as well, the main characters throughout most of the franchise definitely do stand out. You know, Keanu Reeves' character as John Wick is really impressive in this one. There's definitely a lot more diversity in his role in some of the action, so it involves quite a lot of guns, also shielding a lot, as well as there were some good sequences as well with some driving scenes as well. So he definitely does stand out in this movie a lot more, I think, compared to the other ones. Although the other ones he was really good, but this fourth one, I think there was more diversity in his role in this one. Um, Also, I think the other main characters stood out as well. It did also fill me with a little bit of sadness hearing that Lance Reddick passed away. I definitely think his role as Sharon in the previous movies, including the fourth one, he was a really prominent figure. And kind of hearing about Lance Reddick's passing away before this film's release did kind of emotionally hit me. And he definitely delivered a very good role. And it's a bit of a shame that this was his last role. Basically, a lot of the actors really stood out. I really can't have any sort of complaints with this movie at all. I think the way this movie was delivered from its pacing was really good, and it didn't feel like it dragged at all. Considering this was actually one of the longest John Wick movies, I think it hit around 2 hours and 40 minutes. Like everything had a great moment, and there was some really great acting, great dialogue with the characters as well, and they all had a very interesting story. So all in all, this movie was really amazingly well structured, and it really definitely delivered on great actions and great visuals. Now, is there anything that I can say that is a problem for this movie? Honestly, I have to say no. I think everything in this movie is really amazingly well put together. And I really honestly believe that this is kind of one of my favorite action movies. I could probably also say it's probably my favorite of the John Wick movies, the fourth one, because for all its great action and its great visuals, it really did have so much more variety compared to the other ones. And I really think that this is probably one of the most standout action movies I've seen in recent years. So, yeah, I really have no complaints about this movie at all. So, overall, if I had to rate John Wick 4, I'm going to be bold. I'm going for it. I'm going to give it a 9.5 out of 10. Probably too biased for a lot of people. You know, I could probably have given it a 10 because there's virtually nothing negative about this movie at all. I really think everything about this movie, with its great action, its great visuals, its great cinematography, its great characters and acting, there's zero complaints. I really can't think of anything bad to say about this film. Everything is just amazingly well put together, and it is a work of art. I really would say if you're really into great action films, this is definitely a must watch. Obviously, it may be important to kind of watch the other three John Wick movies to kind of understand its narrative a little bit, to kind of make a sense of what the John Wick franchise is about, because each of these movies does have its own chronological step through each film to kind of understand what happens in the next film. So, you know, you can, if you're really interested in the plot and the summary of each of these films, then obviously I would recommend watching the previous movies. But if you just like great action and great visuals, and you know, and have a movie that doesn't lack for moments, this is definitely a great movie to watch. So yeah, that's about it. See you later.